там не засыпало. Вон этот открывается за нами. Я хотел здесь машину.
An unusual type of roadkill is alarming drivers on a highway in southern Idaho. Over the weekend, drivers saw what they thought were chickens, but after seeing the stripes and feathers, they realized that they were actually seeing owls. Dozens of dead owls covered the 20-mile stretch of the interstate. The eerie sighting has a simple explanation, though. Idaho Fish and Game spokesman Mike Keckler said that the hungry owls become victims of roadkill when they hunt for mice along the side of the road.
Nearly 200,000 people in Northern California forced to leave their homes as a spillway for the country's tallest dam is threatening to burst. Folks living below told to get out right away.
Everyone's panicking. Everybody just got to remember that we're okay at the moment. Try to keep calm.
It's just a little scary.
Phone started going off and we just immediately loaded up the kids and took off. It's scary. More overwhelmed, definitely.
Authorities issued the evacuation order yesterday after engineers discovered a large hole, which they say was caused by erosion. Adam Housley is live in Yuba City, California, near one of the affected areas. All right, Adam, so what do we know at this moment?
Well, Shannon, right here we're alongside the Feather River, and that river actually comes directly from the dam. The water levels here are very high. What we know at this moment is they made some headway last night. In fact, they were worried about that auxiliary spillway collapsing, and basically what that is just a lower part of the earthen dam that the water is meant to spill over to help lower the level. It's not meant to be a long-term solution, and it basically was working for over 30 hours. So that caused the deterioration, and that caused them to be worrisome about the possibility that it would collapse, bringing potentially a 30-foot wall of water down. What they got a chance to do overnight was to get the water down below that area where the water was spilling over. They're still trying to drain the lake down a bit. It allowed them to basically stop the worry of collapse of that area, and now when the sun comes up here within this hour, they're trying to get engineers in there right away to get a daylight look. They believe they made enough headway to put some rock in there, to pack it, to hopefully resecure it before the next storms come in about 4 days, Shannon.
Good evening. There are new developments in WA's flood crisis with losses climbing into the millions. Huge sections of the state, from the Kimberley to the Great Southern, have been declared a natural disaster zone. The floods have hit farmers hard. Some, including grape growers, have lost an entire harvest, much of it still underwater.
A storm packing hard rain and heavy winds slammed the Houston area Tuesday morning, sparking a tornado warning for the fourth most populous U.S. city. While there were no touchdowns reported in the city, a relatively weak tornado was seen just 30 miles south of the Houston area in Fort Bend County. The National Weather Service said that no injuries or major damage was reported, but over 20,000 people were without power as a result of the storm.
Could one of the greatest threats to Earth sit in the solar system? We're talking about solar flares, and scientists say a large enough solar storm or flare could pose a significant problem for Earth. Dr. Alex Young, a solar physicist with NASA, joins us now to talk space weather. So this is truly an out-of-this-world topic to talk about. Can you talk about a solar storm, what it could mean for us here on Earth? Because it's not like a rainstorm that we expect, right?
Right. So the sun puts out huge amounts of energy. One way is in the form of a blast of light. We call that a solar flare. But the other one is called a coronal mass ejection, and that's when the sun burps out billions of tons of material and magnetic field. Both of those travel to the Earth. The solar flare takes 8 minutes, but the other one takes a couple of days. When the solar flare hits the Earth's atmosphere, it heats it up, it disrupts communication. But then the bigger part that comes along afterwards, this coronal mass ejection, kind of like a big wave or even a hurricane through the solar system, hits the Earth, hits our magnetic field, disrupts it, creates electrical currents, which disrupt power grids, communication, and both of these can create radiation, which is dangerous to astronauts in space. So that's the key, some of the key areas we're interested in understanding.
What other kind of impacts, though, could it have? Affecting power grids, obviously. What about GPS?
Right. So it disrupts the upper atmosphere where we send signals for GPS, communication to airplanes, to ships, even for the military. So it's very important that we understand all of these various areas of communication because it impacts both us on the daily side as well as people in airline industry, the military, and navigation with ships.
What is the government doing to understand these solar storms and how it would impact us? And how often do they happen?
Well, they happen with a cycle, much like you have a hurricane cycle, which is a yearly cycle. We have an 11-year cycle where we go from low, high, back down to low. And we're coming down towards the lower end of the cycle, but we can still have solar storms anytime. Now, the government works with several other agencies. NASA does all of the research. We put up the spacecraft to do the studying. But then NOAA does the predictions, and together we work with the industry to do this for the nation.
Our mission is 9 months long, after which we'll be followed by another armored brigade combat team, and our exercises so far that I'm aware of are to do some side-by-side training, live fire exercises alongside our Romanian allies, and we will also be doing some other joint exercises, but that's we'll announce more to the Romanian MOD.
In Missouri, a Ku Klux Klan leader is shot and killed in his bedroom, and officials say his own family was behind the murder. Frank Ancona's body was found Saturday about 20 miles from his home. He had been shot in the head.
Prosecutors say his Klan membership was not a factor in the killing, but rather that the motive was more personal. They say Ancona had told his wife he wanted a divorce. Melissa Ancona and her son Paul Jickerson are charged with first-degree murder, tampering with evidence, and abandonment of a corpse. Investigators say Jickerson was the one who pulled the trigger and that Melissa helped clean up the scene. Both are being held without bail.
And this just coming in, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's half-brother has reportedly been assassinated in Malaysia. South Korean broadcaster TV Chosun said Tuesday Kim Jong-nam was killed by two unidentified women using poison needles at Kuala Lumpur airport on Monday at around 9 a.m. According to the report, the two suspected North Korean spies fled the scene shortly after the killing, and the Malaysian police are now looking for them. The South Korean government has yet to confirm the report, but if true, this would be the highest profile death since the regime's leader Kim Jong-un purged his uncle Chang Song-taek in late 2013. Kim Jong-nam, the eldest son of late North Korean leader Kim Jong-il, was once considered a potential successor until he was caught trying to enter Japan with a fake passport with his son and two women in 2001.
Fox News can confirm now a story first reported in the New York Times that Russia has deployed a new cruise missile despite U.S. protests that it violates an arms control treaty drafted in 1987. In 2014, the U.S. also concluded Russia broke this same treaty by experimenting with cruise missiles. The New York Times suggests U.S. officials now believe that missile is operational and has been secretly deployed. It is believed to be nuclear capable. More on this developing story as we get it.
In a letter on Tuesday, the Office of Government Ethics said that the White House should investigate a recent endorsement of Ivanka Trump's products by senior advisor Kellyanne Conway and consider disciplinary action. Conway's comments, which occurred last week during an interview on Fox, prompted criticism from both Republican and Democratic lawmakers who say Conway may have violated ethics rules that prohibit using a public office to endorse products or advance personal business gains. According to the letter, the office recommends that the investigation and any disciplinary action be taken against Conway by February 28th.
After the White House went from a strong supporter of General Michael Flynn to evaluating the situation, the National Security Advisor resigned. Flynn was accused of communicating with Russia's ambassador about U.S. sanctions before President Trump took office. That's a breach of protocol and potentially illegal. In his resignation letter to the White House, Flynn said calls to foreign counterparts, ministers, and ambassadors were a necessary and standard part of the transition to a new administration. But Flynn admitted he inadvertently briefed the vice president-elect and others with incomplete information regarding my phone calls with the Russian ambassador. Trump has named retired Lieutenant General Joseph Keith Kellogg Jr. as acting national security advisor.
At least 10 are dead and over 50 wounded after what authorities say was a massive blast that hit a protest in the Pakistani city of Lahore. It struck right outside the Provincial Assembly for Punjab, something police believe points to an apparent suicide attack. A faction of the country's Taliban claiming responsibility. But the protest wasn't directed at the government's ongoing struggle against insurgencies. Seen here before the attack, it was organized by Pakistan's pharmaceutical industry, reportedly demonstrating against changes to drug sale laws. Security in Pakistan has vastly improved in recent years, but Islamist militants such as the Taliban and Islamic State have still carried out large attacks. The Taliban claimed responsibility for an Easter Day attack last year that killed more than 70 in a public park. In a written statement, the Prime Minister says the country will rid itself of militants he called a cancer.
Disney has dropped one of YouTube's most popular stars, PewDiePie, over anti-Semitic jokes. In one of his now deleted clips, two men held up a sign reading, "Death to all Jews." The Wall Street Journal launched an investigation into the 27-year-old Swedish comedian, real name Felix Kjellberg. It found 9 videos on his channel dating back to August that had anti-Semitic jokes or showed Nazi imagery. PewDiePie wrote a statement on his blog saying, quote, "To anyone unsure on my standpoint regarding hate-based groups, no, I don't support these people in any way." YouTube has also canceled his original series. He has more than 53 million subscribers on the site.